Hello, Durud and Shalom. Guys, make sure you like the stream. In the past 2 or 3 days, mostly in the past 48 hours, we have seen a lot of new indications that we're going to see the second round of attacks by Israel on the Islamic Republic. Phase 2 of the war is about to happen. Everything seems to be going in that direction. There's a lot of new information that is coming in that seems that everybody is getting ready for another war. So we're going to go over that. By the way, I see people in the chat. I see Delta is here. I see Mortal Wombat, Jewish Samantha, Mohsen is here. I already said Delta. Liad, Heavy Gretel, fantastic. Vic is here. Sam is here. Chad is busy. Fantastic. Thank you guys for being here. All right, guys. I'm going to go. Before that, I have to show you some videos. Okay, hold on. This is funny. All right, so you know this guy? You know who this guy is? He was on Fox News. I'm gonna play it for you guys. But let me tell you, this is Arakchi. This is the foreign minister of the Islamic Republic, and he was on Fox News. And I will play what he's said because it's getting a lot of reactions. Everybody is attacking him. It's very interesting because do you know who he is? Have you seen him? Have you heard of him? But he just came on Fox News and he said that they're not trying to, it was never the policy to annihilate Israel. This came as a shock to me because I grew up in Iran and I remember I lived in Iran since birth till age 21. And so more than half my life I lived in Iran. And I always remembered what they told us in school, what we saw on TV, and what our politicians were keep saying on the news, that they were trying to wipe out Israel off the map. So having the foreign minister come on Fox News and say like, who? Us? No, never. I would never try to wipe Israel off the map. Okay, that was that was so weird. I was like, what the hell? Like, I grew up in Iran. Like, what? Like, does he think that we're just gonna forget? And it was amazing because this shows that they're terrified. This shows that they are basically on their knees begging the world to please. We're not that bad. We're like they sent Pezeshkian, which is the president, on Tucker Carlson to say like, hey, we love America. Well, deaf to America doesn't actually mean deaf to Americans or American politicians. It just means deaf to bad things. And now we have Arakchi, which is the foreign minister, is like, we never wanted to destroy Israel. What are you talking about? Which is getting a lot of backlash in Iran, both from the regime and the opposition at the same time, because the regime supporters themselves like, what are you saying? Of course we want to destroy Israel. There was a newspaper attack, like there were so many different pro-regime media that are attacking him, which is what these are. Arakchi and Pezeshkian are kind of like the reformers, which are horrible because, again, I say the hardliners are now working in our favor because they're not letting the reformers save the Islamic Republic, right? So the hardliners are now attacking. They were attacking Pezeshkian when he was on Tucker Carlson, and now they're attacking Arakchi now that he's on Fox News. But the anti-regime people have gone and found all the clips of the regime constantly reminding the world and the people in Iran that, yeah, our plan is to wipe out Israel. So let's actually listen to this. Oh, by the way, in another context, this is guys, you're not going to hear this anywhere else. This is why you're subscribed to this channel. This is why you need to like this stream, and you need to subscribe, and you need to hit the bell notification, because let me give you some analysis that this is so okay. Let me just tell you. Okay, so this is masterful by the reformers. Again, this is why we Barandos Iranians, we hate the reformers, because they are actually good at politics. The hardliners are shitty at politics. The reformers are good at politics. So the reformers are the only hope that the Islamic Republic has. So this is what the reformers did. Pezeshkian went on Tucker Carlson and said that, hey, we're anti-Israel, but we're not anti-America. And deaf to America doesn't mean that we're anti-American. And they sent Arakchi to Fox News to say, like, hey, we're not trying to wipe out Israel, which is kind of a deep understanding of the audiences of these, because they're trying to, for years, the Islamic Republic was trying to use the progressive left as a way to get into the politics of the United States by being anti-imperialist. So there's two ways: by acting anti-imperialist, to use the progressive to get into American politics, and then by using NIAC to try to get into the Democratic Party. But now that the right-leanings are in power, they're now focusing on the isolationist part of MAGA and the neocons. So they went to Tucker Carlson to focus on, like, yeah, we're anti-Israel, but we're not anti-America, because they understood that the isolationist MAGA likes to hear that, and they sent Arakchi with a more closer to a neocon perspective to suggest that, hey, we're not even trying to wipe out Israel, which is kind of, and also Fox News is more likely a place where Trump watches, so that's another reason why they sent him there, which is pretty, yeah. And okay, Shirzan, that is an actual, I like it when you guys actually correctly identify Taghiya, because we used to criticize on this channel when people just threw out the Taghiya accusation out there on everything, even when they actually meant it, right? But this is an actual correct identification of something that could be labeled as Taghiya. We got a super chat from Shana. Guys, throughout the show, if I get any super chats, I will read them. Super chats are a really good way to support the channel. So thank you, Shana. Shana is saying, can you remind us what the factions are? I get names mixed up. Okay. Thank you, Shana. Okay. Right. So that's good. So we have the hardliners and the reformers. They are pro the Islamic Republic. Okay. And then we have the Barandos people. The Barandos people are the people who want the regime to fall. And then we have what we call the Qeshr Khakistari, which literally would translate to the gray population. But I think the English equivalent of that would be the silent majority, right? So basically people who are not really active in politics. And then among the Barandos people, meaning the people who want the regime to topple, we have some MEK, which is a cult. We have the communist, Marxist, leftist people. Then we have the cessationists. And the biggest one and the most important one and the most powerful one is the nationalist people that support Reza Pahlavi and are basically uniting under his name, right? So those are the different groups. Oh, we got also somebody gifted. Kenny just gifted 5 memberships to people in the chat. Guys, memberships are also a really good way to support the channel. So thank you, Kenny. I really appreciate that. Okay, so that was a short summary of the different groups that we're talking about here. Okay, so the president and the foreign minister are part of the so-called reformers, but here's the thing: they're just puppets of Khamenei. So we have people who are not in power and people who are in power. Among the people who are in power, both the hardliners and the reformers, they're just basically different puppets of Khamenei. They're all basically doing Khamenei's bidding. So Pezeshkian on Tucker Carlson is saying what Khamenei wants. Arakchi on Fox is saying what Khamenei wants. And so many of the hardliners who are not in power, they don't understand that. They hate the reformers so much that they think that they're defending the supreme leader when they're attacking Arakchi and Pezeshkian, but they don't understand that these are direct orders from Khamenei himself to come and say stuff like that, right? Basically because they're scared, they need to do that. Anyways, let me actually play the video for you. Because this is really interesting. So let's listen to what Pezeshkian is saying, and then listen to what Khamenei earlier correcting him. Okay, so this is recently. Okay,
this has never been Iran's policy.
So he's saying this has never been Iran's policy, meaning the Fox News journalist asked him, "Are you trying to wipe out Israel off the map?" And this is his answer. Okay, this just happened yesterday.
This has never been Iran's policy to wipe out Israel from the map.
Okay, so now let's cut to what year is this? This is from 14 years ago. Okay, so this is Khamenei, the supreme leader. So he said it has never been our policy to wipe out
the
Israel.
map.
Okay?
رژیم صهیونیستی حقیقتاً غده سرطانی است در این منطقه.
So he's saying the Zionist regime is a cancerous tumor in the region.
و باید قطع بشه و قطع
And it needs to be cut off. And it will be cut off.
خواهد شد. ما در
Hey, YouTube, I'm not saying that. I'm basically translating this guy, okay? This is me reporting the news. No, this is Siva, this is not Taqiyya. This is the real deal. This part, or this one is the real deal. Okay. No, this is not. Yeah, okay. The Arakshi guy was Taqiyya, but this is real. This is honest. Okay, let's continue.
قضایای ضدیت با اسرائیل دخالت کردیم. نتیجهش هم
Oh, so he's saying it's a tumor that needs to be cut, and we have been involved. We have been involved in that. So he's now mentioning the victory of the 2006 Lebanon war that we were involved with. So he's not only he's suggesting that it's a tumorous cancer that needs to be cut off, he's also admitting their involvement in it.
پیروزی
By the way, guys, can I just remind everybody that this is a declaration of war? This is a declaration of war. This video that I'm playing you is from 14 years ago. Okay, so the people who like Kyle Kalinske, Vash, or Hasanabi, or all the leftist idiots on YouTube that are going around and telling you like, the Islamic Republic was minding its own business, and all of a sudden, the Israel just attacked out of nowhere for no reason. They attacked the Islamic Republic. Is this not a declaration of war? He's saying that Israel it's a tumorous cancer that needs to be cut off, and we're involved in that. That's a declaration of war. So Israel is, in fact, if anybody wants to criticize Israel, you have to be like, what took you so long? So let's continue.
جنگ 33 روزه و پیروزی جنگ 22 روزه.
Okay, so he's also mentioning the victory of the 2008 and 2009 Gaza war. He's saying we did that, we were involved with that, and we were helping that, so we were.
بود بعد از اینم هر جا.
And he's saying, and from now on, whenever and wherever anybody wants to attack Israel, we will be there to help them.
بعد از اینم هر جا هر ملتی بعد از اینم هر جا هر ملت
from now on as well, whenever any nation or group
هر گروهی با رژیم صهیونیستی
fights or confronts the Zionist regime,
مبارزه کنه مقابله کنه ما پشت سر رژیم و کمک
we will support and assist them.
میکنیم به هیچ ابایی هم از گفتن
we saw that he's now hiding in a hole. This man is now hiding in a hole out of fear.
این حرف نداریم.
Hey Khamenei, where are your generals, huh? You wanted to destroy Israel? You wanted to wipe Israel off? Hey, where are your generals right now, huh? How are they doing? Where are they? Where are you right now? What are you? How's your life these days? What are you doing? Why are you in a hole? Why are you hiding, huh? You wanted to wipe Israel off the map? How is that working out for you? Okay, let's continue. Oh, wait. So that was it. Let me actually show you another video of him. But guys, it's important that we spread this. You know why? Because they're so desperate. They know that a war is coming, and they think like, oh my God, this is the end of us. So they're going around and trying to act like this is all, we're just all been imagining them being evil and shit, right? So they're really active on Western media right now, trying to convince Americans, because their only hope, they're basically begging Americans to get their politicians to stop Israel. That's what they're doing. They're also begging China and Russia to help them, and they're not doing anything. In fact, they are they seem to be supporting Europe when it comes to the snapback mechanism, which is crazy. Anyways, so they're all alone. Their buddies are dead. Their Hamas has been decapitated. Hezbollah has been decapitated, and their most important generals are dead. and they're like, oh my God, this is like the end. So their only hope is to just beg Americans to force their politicians to stop Israel. This is what they have right now. And this is what they're doing. And it's important. It's my job and your job right now to go around and remind people, like, guys, like, they're lying to you. They're lying to you. Arakshi is lying to you. Let me actually show you the second video that shows Arakshi was lying. Hold on. Not that one. I already showed that one. This one. All right. So let's remind everybody what he said again.
This has never been Iran's policy to wipe out Israel from the map.
شما 25 سال آینده رو نخواهید دید.
Look, he said that you're not going. When did he say this? This is wait, what is so small? Okay, this is 12 years ago. Okay, so 12 years ago, he said you, Israel, won't exist in 25 years. That's what Khamenei said 12 years
سال
ago.
آینده رو نخواهید دید.
Okay, and they said, God willing, there will be no such thing as the Zionist regime in the region in 25 years.
25 سال دیگه چیزی به نام رژیم صهیونیستی در منطقه وجود نخواهد داشت به فضل الهی.
And look, they had the countdown in the Palestine Square in Iran. There's a square in Tehran called the Palestine Square, which, by the way, guys, I will basically start a movement once the regime falls. It would be a crime against every Iranian if we don't change the name of that square from Palestine Square to Israel Square. Okay, we need to rename that square to Israel Square, and we need to have a statue of Netanyahu right in the middle. Okay, that's what I'm going to be fighting for once the regime falls. But in Palestine Square in Tehran, they had this countdown for how much time is left, for the number of days left for Israel. Like, if you look at that, it says 8,411 days left for Israel. Yeah, so that's the countdown, right? So which here's the funny thing, guys. There are so many power outages right now in Iran, which I will talk to you guys about after some of this. And that clock ran out of power multiple times because they didn't have, like, you got in Iran, which is one of the richest and one of the most energy-rich countries in the world, did not have the electricity, did not have the energy to power the countdown to Israel's annihilation. You want to annihilate Israel, you cannot even power the watch that is counting it, that's doing the countdown. It is so, I mean, this is like, oh my God. I mean, the jokes just write themselves. I don't even have to humiliate them. Do you understand how masterful, like how amazing you have to be at fucking things up to be sitting on so much energy and having this many power outages in your country right now? Like right now, when I'm talking to Iranians, they are like, some of them are telling me like, yeah, today we had 6 hours of power outage, 4 hours of power outage. Like, businesses are shutting down because power outages in Iran. Do you know how amazing you have to be the best at fucking up a country to be able to have this much energy? This has nothing to do with sanctions, by the way, guys. Like, if you want to mention like, sanctions, the energy is under their fucking feet. What sanctions? They're not importing energy. The energy is right there. This shows how the hardship of Iranian people is because of the Islamic Republic, because you cannot blame this on sanctions. It's right there. Not only you have so much gas and so much oil, you also fuck the country because you insisted upon enriching uranium for the sake of more energy, for the sake of more electricity. Where the fuck is the electricity then? We got all of these sanctions because you were insisting on enriching uranium, because you said all of these years that, oh, this is going to be, the benefit is going to outweigh all of this cost because this is going to give us more electricity. What? How the fuck did you manage to have this many? What? You had oil and gas, and you, for some reason, you decided to do enrichment of uranium as well, saying that this has nothing to do with nuclear weapons, it's about electricity. Well, where the fuck is the electricity? Do you understand that, guys, this is not normal, because other countries, if they have power outages, they had more power outages, and they now have less power outages, except South Africa. But the Iranian people are not used to this. This is new. This is not like, oh, we had power outages before and we also have power outages now. They didn't have power outages before. This is something new that has been introduced. There's no water, there's no electricity. They're shutting down the internet, and they're also making the internet based on different people get more access to the internet compared to other people, depending on how aligned with the regime they are, which is that's another topic. I'm not going to even open that can of worms. But it's fucked up. It's all okay. Let me actually get back to this. So look, this is the countdown. Arakchi is telling you on Fox News that they're not trying to wipe out Israel off of the map, while they have a countdown for it in Tehran. This is not just a lie. This is this is I don't know. Is there anything above a lie? Because it's like midday, looking at you right in your face midday in the noon and telling you that it's night. That's how big of a lie this is. Your government has installed a countdown for the annihilation of Israel, and you're like, oh, annihilation of Israel? We never tried to do that. It's amazing. It's amazing. Oh, shut the fuck up. What the hell? Why am I even playing that audio? Hold on. Let me actually do the next video. Let me look at this one. Hold on. Let me see. Again, I just want to show you the videos Khamenei mentioning wiping out Israel and stuff. So it's saying our position is what year was this? Oh my God, this is old. 30. So this is around 35. If I could read it right, this is about 35 years ago. Okay, so let's look at this here. So our position is what the great Imam Khomeini said. That's the previous supreme leader. Israel must be wiped out. It's right there. It's right there. That's your supreme leader saying that.
It has never been Iran's policy to wipe out Israel from the map.
Yeah, fantastic. There you go. There you go. Yeah, guys, that video was low quality because it was an old one. It was an old one, right? So, guys, other than that, we're now seeing both Israel and the Islamic Republic talking about war more aggressively. Right? They both. It seemed like, based on their narrative that is coming out on both sides, it seemed like they're both getting ready for war. So Israeli officials told their military to prepare for renewed attacks on the Islamic Republic. It says here Iran. I'm reading it as the Islamic Republic, on the regime, right? Iran's president responded by saying the country is ready for war and will continue its nuclear enrichment. Well, good. Please, Islamic Republic, never stop enrichment of uranium. Never stop that. This is really helping us going to the second phase of this war, so that they could wipe you off the map, as you wanted to do to Israel. I mean, the regime, not the country. So why this matters? So because none of them is de-escalating. Like, usually when you see a war, if both governments are trying to de-escalate, the language is the type of language that is de-escalatory. But right now we're seeing that both countries are using escalatory, not de-escalatory language. So when both sides openly say we're preparing for military conflict, it usually shows that peace is not on the table when both sides are talking about this, right? So that's clue number one. Second, the USA is also pursuing the disarmament of the proxies, and they're refusing to anything short of that. They're showing a lot more aggression. For example, the US is demanding that the Islamic Republic's two most important armed allies, Hezbollah in Lebanon and al-Shaabi in Iraq, to give up their weapons, and they're pursuing that more aggressively than before. So it might be that they're preparing for they're basically helping Israel to be able to just focus on the Islamic Republic. So we'll see how that turns out. And also, both the Islamic Republic has signaled that they're not going to give up on anything. The three most important things are enrichment of uranium. They said that they're not going to give up on that. They're building ballistic missiles with missiles that have higher range, reaching all the way to Europe. They're not going to give up on that. And they said that Araghchi, in that same interview that said that they're not planning on wiping out Israel, mentioned that they're going to continue support Hezbollah and Hamas, which are trying to wipe out Israel, which was a contradiction there. But the regime is signaling that they're going to continue supporting their proxies, which basically the three reasons why everybody is losing their patience, including the Europeans actually, are losing their patience with the Islamic Republic. And the Islamic Republic, because of the pressure of hardliners on the regime in Iran, thank you, hardliners. Hardliners in Iran, these days, I'm loving you, okay? Because of that pressure, they're not going to be able to give up on any of those, which means that the only answer is going to be toppling of the regime. That's what's happening. Okay. So, let me see. I was facing. Oh, so internally, as I mentioned, the Islamic Republic, Iran is actually facing blackouts, water shortages, fires, and protests. Guys, it's happening. The protest has started, and I told you, like, I don't know how much is going to pick up, but they're showing up. Okay, we now have protests. It's over water right now, water and electricity shortages in Sabzavar city. Let me actually make sure I get the details right. So on July 23rd, basically yesterday, the government even shut down major parts of the country to save electricity and water. A collapsing regime is dangerous. Okay, on one hand, it might try to distract people with war. Yeah, so the regime might actually be now showing more willingness to go to war with Israel, because even though Israel might actually annihilate the Islamic Republic, the regime is more afraid of its own people, even more than Israel. So given that the regime is suspecting that protests are about to start, so they might think that the only way to stop the protests is to go into war, because during war, people will not come into the streets, right? And I know for a fact the regime is actually terrified and is thinking that any day now people might actually come into the streets, because I have friends in Iran that send me messages telling me that they're getting messages from the government regarding reporting on suspicious activity and basically spying on other people, be vigilant, basically showing that the regime is suspecting that something is about to happen, right? So we have external pressure, internal pressure, and there's also no room for diplomacy left. Oh, by the way, regarding the water shortages, let me tell you, okay, so the water shortages, they have excuse. They're like, hey, it's not because of our lack of management. It's not our fault. It's global warming. Everybody is having these problems, okay? The problem is, that's true. It is global warming to an extent, but the horrible management of the regime has made it so much worse. And again, they don't have that excuse when it comes to electricity, right? Because last time I checked, global warming doesn't evaporate your oil and gas. You're sitting on so much energy. So or the lack of the power outages shows that the regime is at fault. So probably with the water, you could basically come to the conclusion that obviously the same regime that can't manage energy, they probably can't manage water either. But one of the best indications that this is not just because of global warming is that we used to have a lake, which was called Urumia Lake, that I used to swim in as a child. Okay, and I remember swimming in it because I remember not being able to basically swim down. Like it was so salty that you would just your whole body will come up. Like you just if you laid there, it was so dense that you would not be able to, like, you didn't have to swim. If you just stayed there, you would just be floating on the water. That's how salty it was. Okay. However, that lake, oh, we got a super chat. I will respond to the super chat soon. Thank you, Cat Lady. However, that lake is no more. That lake does not exist because it has all been evaporated. It's all dry there. It's basically, there used to be ships and boats in there, and now it's just basically a desert. Right? So we know that this is not just because of global warming, but also lack of management, because there are some close lakes to this lake in Turkey or Turkey and Armenia, right? Which are some lakes are very close. These lakes are very close to this lake in Iran, and they are still there. They're still there. And they're okay. So this is not just global warming. This is lack of management. Oh, by the way, let me actually respond to the super chat. The Cat Lady is saying, thank you, Cat Lady, for the super chat. Really appreciate the super chats, guys. Guys, super chats are a really good way to support the channel. And if you do give us a super chats here, I will read them. Also, memberships, becoming a YouTube member is a really good way to support the channel. The Cat Lady is saying, the Tucker's interview shows me IRGC may be behind some of the isolationist latest ideas, not so organic. I think organic, maybe some talking points. I think the isolationists are plenty crazy on themselves. I think the Islamic Republic is basically the crazies of the isolationists and basically feeding those narratives. Like, they haven't created those narratives, but they have noticed it and they're trying to capitalize on it. They're trying to invest in it, right? That's what's happening. I don't think they created those. I think they were basically, because every country has its own fair share of crazies, right? You don't have to, it's not necessarily foreign made. I think they were just, they're homegrown crazies, but I think they are using them. Yes, so the Cat Lady is saying yes, but they give a huge push based on current narratives. Yes, they do that. But one thing that actually has helped this whole isolationist movement becoming more anti-Trump is the Epstein files. The Epstein guys, you guys understand that the Epstein situation has made MAGA turn on Trump and basically push Trump more towards the neocons away from MAGA, and that also is going to significantly increase the chances of war, right? So the isolationist MAGA crowd, for some time they were always had this uneasy thing with Trump, even though they loved him, but they didn't like how Israel friendly Trump is, but they were willing to ignore it. But then the first time they actually started complaining openly was when Trump started bombing Natanz and Fordo and Isfahan, and that gave them some experience trying out standing up to Trump and criticizing him. So the whole Fordo situation was perfect for the MAGA movement to get ready for the Epstein situation, because that was just basically them practicing standing again. If the Epstein file came out without the Fordo attacks, then these people wouldn't know what to do because they're not used to standing up to Trump. But because they had that experience, when the whole Epstein situation blew up, these people were like, hell no, no. And they're now going around and saying, you know what? MAGA is not Trump. MAGA was never about just one person, which is a crazy claim to, like, it's amazing that they're saying that, because MAGA was basically Trump for a long time. But now apparently MAGA was not about Trump, and they want a divorce. They want a divorce, and they're like basically turning on Trump. And Trump is like, well, screw you guys, I'm going home. That was Eric. Okay, that's funny. That's Trump and Eric Cartman at the same time. All right. So, and Trump, now that he's turning on MAGA, that means that the MAGA's pressure on Trump to stay out of basically Israel and Iran is going to be reduced. So Trump is going to be more likely to give the green light to Netanyahu to finish the job. And at the same time, I said this to you before. And I said this before this new recent news from yesterday that Trump came out and said, you know what? We might go in again. Like I don't even want United States to go in again. I just wanted them to be aggressive enough to just give a green light to Israel. But Trump came out just recently, basically posting this, what Arakchi just said in the video that I showed you, and mentioning that, you know what, we might actually come and hit you guys one more time. Which is very anti-isolationist from Trump. And I think this is because the isolationist MAGA crowd is pissing off Trump over the Epstein situation. We got another super chat from Bordeaux. Not to be mistaken with Fardo, okay? Guys, Bordeaux is a big fan of this channel, and sometimes I make a mistake and I say Trump bombed Bordeaux. And sorry, every time I say that, I'm pretty sure Trump doesn't have anything against Bordeaux. If I say Bordeaux, I mean Fardo. Okay, so let's see what Bordeaux is saying. Bordeaux is saying they dried up Lake Urumia because there's a, what is that? Uranium mine in the area. The environmental disaster is the result of the regime's greed and incompetence. I don't know the details of that, okay? Really? I don't know. I know that I've listened to experts and they say, like, yeah, the drying out of the Urumia Lake is because of the incompetence of the regime, not just because global warming. So I believe that, but I don't know those other details that I'm mentioning. But thank you for letting us know. Thank you, Barbara. Thank you for supporting the channel. Guys, again, reminder that super chats are a really effective way of supporting the channel, and we appreciate it here if you give us any super chats, okay? So basically, Iran is falling apart internally, creating, it says here, I'm reading, both opportunity and risk. A collapsing regime is dangerous. On one hand, it might try to distract people with war, trying to basically use the rally around the flag effect. On the other hand, Israel might see this as a perfect time to strike, thinking the regime is weak and divided. Okay, so guys, this is what Israel did that was so good. So I'm thankful that Israel in the 12-day war did not attack economic infrastructure. And imagine if they did that, what it would happen right now. Because right now in Iran, we have electricity outages and water outages, and people are holding the regime responsible, and this is what's going to maybe cause the next round of protests. This, okay? However, if the Islamic Republic would have loved it, I promise you, would have loved it for Israel to just bomb just a few power plants, I don't know, anything that has to do with water or electricity or energy. The regime was like praying to God, not to God, because maybe praying to Hussein. They were praying to Hussein, please let Israel hit our economic infrastructures. Please. Because if Israel had done that, the regime would be just using that forever. Like, hey, guys, you have no electricity because of Israel. We were just doing a great job. You have no water because of Israel. But Israel was smart enough not to hit any of the economic infrastructure, which means that the regime, that the Iranian people are basically holding the regime responsible. There is no scapegoat. There is no excuse. So thank you, Israel, for focusing on the military infrastructure and the nuclear and the regime officials. Thank you, Israel. That was really masterfully done. I really appreciate that you didn't go for any of the economic underlying infrastructure, making sure that the Iranian people see their own government as responsible for these shortages, not Israel. Okay, this is going to help making sure that the Iranian people recognize their true enemy, which is the regime, not Israel. Really good job. Really appreciate Israel that they did not do that. Like, this is good. Okay. That okay. So yes. So remember, one of the most famous chants of Iranians in the streets when they go into the streets and they chant is "Dushman ma haminjast, durugh migan Amrikas." The Iranian people, when they chant in the streets, they say, "Our enemies are right here," meaning right here in Iran. They lie when they say it's America, meaning that our enemies is the Islamic Republic, not America. Right? So, okay. So another point that is, oh wait, what was the chant that they had recently, like yesterday, in the streets? Guys, they're coming into this. I'm hoping that the protest picks up, but the protests are picking up a little bit right now because of power outages and water outages. But what was the chant? The most recent chant? Okay. So I do prefer if the chant includes Reza Pahlavi's name. So, but that's very bold. Like, that shows that basically we're closer to the final stages of the protest when people actually start mentioning Reza Pahlavi in the chants. Okay, but this round the chants were "Ab barq zindagi haqq musallam mas," which translates to water, electricity, life. Haqq musallam is our rights. What kind of right? Musallam means, like, let me see if I could translate this. Haqq musallam. What's a good translation? Water, electricity, life are inalienable rights. Okay, so water, electricity, life is our inalienable right. So that's the current chant yet from yesterday in the streets. Okay, so usually when you see the protests picking up, they usually start with something economical or some specific freedom related, like freedom regards to hijab or internet or something like that, or some economic. But then some spark. Then if it becomes more widespread, then it becomes about everything, not just that one thing that started. Yes, Barter, it's our basic rights, right? Oh, yeah. Also, by the way, the so-called reformers in Iran, just the government. The government of Pezeshkian just introduced a bill to the parliament in Iran to be more censorial with regards to the internet. This is a new bill that was just that the reformers, the current reformers president, introduced to the parliament, which is like, again, these are your reformers, and these are the people who are supposed to be the good guys here, right? Like, again, I wanted to let you guys know that the reformers are more evil. I'm not exaggerating. Please take, if you take anything from this channel, please understand that in Iran, in the government, the reformers are more evil than the hardliners. They're just more clever about it. Okay, this is very important that you understand. And yeah, Torah saying more censorship online. Nice, yes. So more censorship. It is horrible, but at the same time, it's good because it shows that the regime is terrified, like as if they don't have enough censorial laws. Like, oh, like what is missing right now? Oh my God! At this time, what is the thing that we don't have enough? We don't have. Like, is it water? Is it electricity? Is it a better relationship with other countries? No, we have enough of those. What's missing is more censorship. That's what we need right now in this country. Right. So that's what they're adding. I see another super chat from Shana. I will respond to it soon. But the good thing about that, again, it's weird that I'm saying it's a good thing, but it is a good thing, is that because they have information that we don't. And the reason why they probably adding this more censorial laws for the internet is because they are not, they can see that the tide is against them. Like the people are ready to rise up again. Like they're terrified. I mean, again, I told you at the beginning of the show that they're sending out messages to people's phones via SMS with warnings. So they must be seeing something that is about to happen, that they're trying to avoid it with more censorship on the internet, with these warning messages. And again, also we have mullahs on TV reminding people of the punishments regarding siding with the enemy and stuff like that. So they must be noticing something that is about to happen, that they're doing all of this. So let me actually respond to the super chat. Shauna is saying the Democratic Republic of the chat would like you to acknowledge our Queen Rebecca Bar-Sef is honoring you with a visit. Oh, is she now? Rebecca is here. Let me see. Where is she? Where is Rebecca? I don't see her. That's amazing. Okay. Well, thank you for this honor. I am very honored. I really do appreciate. Oh, Rebecca is here. Hi, guys. Rebecca Bursaf. Hi. Nice to see you. Guys, I was a guest. I had the honor of being a guest on on Rebecca's channel. So please go watch that. And also subscribe to her channel. Yes. Thank you for being here. What an honor. Oh my God. We have royalty. We have royalty in the chat, everybody. Please show some respect. Thank you. Thank you. Yes. Okay. Where were we? Oh, wait. I was saying I sent you an infrastructure report with the timer on Iran. Oh, okay. I will try to look. I'll check my messages. So I check my messages once every few days just to make sure that it doesn't. But I will try to. I will make sure I will go in and check that. Because guys, ever since I told everybody my email and my Telegram, right? So this is my email. If you need to, I'm telling people my email and my Telegram, so that people could get me invited, help me get invited on other platforms, right? Big platforms. And ever since I've done that, I'm getting so many messages. So it's hard. It's becoming difficult for me to manage my messages, but I'm getting I will try to get better at it. But I'm checking my messages once every few days, so that's why. Sorry if I get back to you late, or if I miss your messages. Okay, I'm trying my best. Elad, thank you so much for the super chat. Elad saying, "I worry that people are not equipped to revolt yet." Yeah, well, they are not equipped. They're not armed. The government is armed, and the people are not armed. So your worries are very justified. And that's why it's bad that basically Trump stopped Israel from finishing the job that they were doing so masterfully, because the next phase of the 12-day war, if it was maybe the 15-day war instead of the 12-day war, was to basically try to destroy the regime's anti-protest people, kill the anti-protest people, and also the regime forces that are designed for stopping protests. That was the next phase of Israel's attack. And Trump stopped it. And hopefully this time he doesn't do something like that next time Israel goes in to finish the job. Right? Yeah. Oh, people are saying, love you, Rebecca. A lot of people are saying, love you, Rebecca. Yes, yes. We're fans of Rebecca. Oh. Oh, Torah, I love you too, by the way. Now I'm jealous. You're saying, I'm getting jealous. Torah is saying, yesterday Mansour and Khalifa said they loved me. They said, we love you, Torah. Okay, I'm getting jealous. Torah, I love you too, okay? I love you too. Okay. Okay. We're getting a love triangle here. Okay, where was I? They don't, Tora, they don't love you like I love you. Okay. You know, they will say they love you, but it's not going to be as deep, as meaningful as what we have here together. Okay. Okay. just kidding. I'm just kidding. What? Okay. Let me, where were we? Okay. So we have the US is pressuring the Islamic Republic's proxy militias to disarm. So yes, so we have Hashd al-Shaabi in Iraq and also Hezbollah in Lebanon, and the US is now more aggressive than ever before in trying to disarm them. Like they are pushing for this more than ever before, which also is maybe a suggestion that they're trying to make sure, the US is basically trying to make sure that when Israel goes for a second round of attack against the Islamic Republic, they can focus on the Islamic Republic and they don't have to deal with any other proxies. So that's another reason why it seems to suggest that a war is about to come. Yeah, because these militias are the Islamic Republic's way of attacking Israel without fighting directly. So they might want to, because the Islamic Republic is basically at the edge of collapse, if they see that the toppling of the regime is so close, they might actually take some shots at Israel if the war gets too close to toppling the regime. So given this might be the reason why US is now being more aggressive when it comes to, again, the Epstein situation helped us a lot because Trump seems to be so, again, it's not just the Islamic Republic. Trump has just done a complete 180 on Putin. And the more anti-Putin and pro-Ukraine Trump becomes, the more anti-Islamic and pro-Israel it becomes, because it's basically leaving the MAGA, isolationist MAGA camp and more towards the neocon people, right? And it happens both at the same time, which also suggests, is also an indication that supporting Ukraine and Israel together makes sense at the same time, right? The way I always say on this channel, that supporting Israel is not just about supporting Israel. Supporting Israel is about supporting the world, because Israel and Ukraine are two tiny little countries, and maybe one day Taiwan, are tiny little countries that are basically standing strongly between the evils of the world and the world. So given that the world doesn't seem to have the balls to fight the evil that wants to destroy the world, the least they could do is support these countries like Ukraine and Israel who are doing the standing up to evil for us, right? So that's why supporting Israel and Ukraine is about supporting the entire planet, not just those countries. Yeah, and by tiny, I don't mean just tiny geographically, because Ukraine is, I think, the poorest country in Europe. Right. Okay, what do we say? Yeah, also, the good thing about the hardliners in Iran is that they're not letting the regime basically give in on any of the three most important things: enrichment of uranium, missiles, and supporting of the proxies. So basically, there's no room for negotiation. There's absolutely no room for there's no diplomacy left. And no diplomacy left means that the world is going to get more accepting of Israel attacking the Islamic Republic. And also Europe finally is growing some balls, because Europe is about to use the snapback mechanism. And guys, it's hard for me to say this given how pro-Israeli we are here. But the snapback mechanism that Germany, UK, and France that are about to use is going to be so much more devastating on the Islamic Republic and unfortunately on the Iranian people. Oh, this is why we support Israel, because when Israel attacks the Islamic Republic, you get minimum civilian casualty. But Europe has lost patience with the Islamic Republic. Guys, do you know, and they're now using the snapback mechanism, and guys, that is like a nuclear bomb being dropped on a country. I kid you not. The devastation that is going to be inflicted upon the Iranian people is so much more from the snapback mechanism that Europe is about to use in the UN, is going to be so much more. Like you thought, like prices, electricity, water, everything is going to go to shit in Iran, and not just on the regime, but the Iranian people. And again, this is Europe. Europe usually uses the strategy of appeasement with the Islamic Republic. Guess why in the chat Europe is losing patience with the Islamic Republic? Why? And again, the snapback mechanism is not just going to bring economic sanctions on Iran, because guys, the sanction that exists upon Iran right now is just by US, and it's secondary sanctions, meaning that, but it's by the US. The snapback mechanism, once it gets used, it is going to be every single country. It's going to be it's not just going to be US enforcing sanctions upon Iran. It's going to be 193 country. Like, there is all the loopholes that the Islamic Republic had to do trade with the world, they're going to be shut down. Like, even China is going to stop buying oil from the Islamic Republic. Do you understand what that means? That's a level of devastation and destruction that no war can. Okay, but other than that, it's also a green light to Israel to attack, because the snapback mechanism. Short is saying China won't stop. The problem, okay, China will stop because they have their own signatures on there. China is endorsing. China has this. The snapback will bring the sanctions on Iran that China signed. This is not the US forcing China to not buy oil. These will be the sanctions that China has approved themselves. If China buys oil after this, they're violating their own standards that they have set for international law. So they're like, it would be unprecedented if China violates the rules for the international norms that they insist. Like, this would be new thing for China. Okay, so no, this is a new thing. This is basically both everybody, even countries that the Islamic Republic consider ally, they will stop buying. The ports will be empty. The fridges of the Iranian people will be empty, and they will not be able to blame. The regime would not be able to convince the Iranian people to blame Israel or the United States, because it was neither of them this time. It was Germany, France, and the UK. Think about, like, the Iranian people would think, like, okay, obviously it's not them, it's our regime, because the people who were the most patient with us are now doing this. So of course it's not them, it's our regime. But do you guys know why Europe is losing patience? Ask yourself this. I will read a super chat, but I will let you guys I will give you some time to think about it. But why was Europe against regime change in Iran? Why? Why is Europe always afraid of a regime collapse in Iran? And why they don't seem to be as afraid anymore? No, it's not nukes. But let me read the super chats. You guys can think about it for a second. Let me actually respond to the super chat, and then I will tell you guys, okay? So Sean is saying, with everything going on in Western Europe and the Middle East, what are the chances we enter into an international war? The situation in the Middle East is not going to cause an international war, because these countries are paper tigers, okay? The thing that you need to watch out for an international war is Europe going into war with Russia in 5 years, and the United States going to war, I don't know in how many years, with China over Taiwan. If those things happen, I don't know if those things happen. I follow analysts that are certain these things are about to happen, And I also follow analysts that say, like, it's not that certain that these things are going to happen. But those are the things that are going to... Actually, you answered the question. Shauna, you accidentally answered the question. Let me tell you now. What a great segue. What a great segue. So this is the reason why Europe has lost patience with the Islamic Republic. Because Europe's analysts have come to the conclusion that at some point, potentially 5 years from now, they're going to go to war with Russia. Okay? And their experience with the Islamic Republic is that when Russia attacked Ukraine, the Islamic Republic supported Russia with drones, with cheap drones, and they also threatened Europe with their ballistic missiles. And they're like, oh no, oh no. Okay. So the reason why Europe didn't want the regime to fall for a long time was because they are afraid of mass migration. They're afraid that in the same way that they got mass migration from Syria to Europe, and they paid a heavy price for it, a regime change in Iran will get them another wave of mass migration. And they're like, we cannot deal with that. Like, we cannot. We do not want to deal with that. So that is the main thing that they're worried about when it comes to regime change. However, with the Islamic Republic, given that Europe thinks that at some point they're going to go to war with Russia, they don't want Islamic Republic to be causing them problems if they do that, because the Islamic Republic had been effective in creating hell on earth for Ukrainians with their Shahed drones, with the the Shahed drones. Okay, so ask any Ukrainian, they know the Ukrainians. Any Ukrainians in the chat, if you're Ukrainian, you're familiar with Shahed drones and the number of Ukrainians who have lost their lives to Shahed drones. Okay, so Europe is like, yeah, we don't want the Islamic Republic to be in power by the time that we have to go to war with Russia, right? Like, we don't want to have to deal with them as well. So it's better to basically disarm any other potential distractions or nuances or basically enemies that we might have, when that we want to basically focus on Russia and no allies of Russia at that point, right? So they are as much as difficult as it going to be for them, according when it comes to migration. They're like, yeah, but nothing will turn Europe more against you more than supporting Russia militarily. Okay, so it's not about human rights, it's not about enrichment of uranium, it's not about supporting the terrorist groups like Hezbollah, Hamas. Nope, Europe, it's not about any of that. It's about supporting Russia. That was the red line. That was the red line for Europe. And that's why, and now that the Islamic Republic, Israel basically came and showed to Europe that these people are a paper tiger and they're actually removable more easily than the Europeans' fault. And now that the Islamic Republic came and also basically aggressively threatened Europe with missiles, they're like, okay, maybe we'll just support Israel. How about that? Maybe we'll just basically do the snapback. And again, the snapback is not just about economic sanctions. The snapback mechanism is also about labeling the Islamic Republic as a threat to global peace. That's why beyond just sanctions, what the snapback mechanism does is basically remove the taboo of regime change. It removes the taboo of attacking the Islamic Republic militarily, because with the snapback mechanism comes the understanding that the international world considers the Islamic Republic a threat to global peace and stability. That's what the snapback mechanism does at the same time. Let me actually see Jan in the chat. Thank you, Jan, with the super chat. Guys, again, super chats are a really good way to support the channel. I appreciate that. We got a lot of super chats today, so thank you so much for that. Jan is saying, Harmony be looking more like Fumbledore. Fumbledore now with the pale skin with that sunlight. Yes, true. Okay, yes, and he also sounds a lot more weak and scared. He deserves it, guys. He deserves it. Again, thank you, Israel, for putting the fear into these people's hearts, the fear that they used to put into the hearts and minds of Iranian people. Israel has managed to give a taste of their own medicine. You know, the Iranian people the level of anxiety that you have to deal with, not knowing if this is your last day or not. A lot of Iranian people know what exactly that feels like because of the Islamic Republic. And now they're feeling it thanks to the IDF. Exactly. Thank you, IDF. Taste of their own medicine. Right? Oh, we got another super chat. Wow, what's happening today? Thank you. Barter saying, thank you, Barter. Thank you for supporting the channel. Barter saying, Russia used the Islamic Republic of Iran as a partner in crime. In the future, both will have to answer for their actions and pay millions in reparations to Ukraine as war criminals. Yeah, I hope we'll see that. That's a beautiful thought, Bardo. I hope I get to see that. So no room for diplomacy. That was the last one I mentioned because the Islamic Republic is unable to give Europe anything or the United States anything they want, all the things that they're asking for because of the hardliners. So that means that there's no room for diplomacy. So all of these together, okay, the military preparation, the proxy disarmament fights, the nuclear advances. And also, by the way, the Islamic Republic just tested a new missile, a long-range missile called Qassed, which is amazing. Great timing, the Islamic Republic. They just did a missile test in the middle of all of this. Fantastic. The internal chaos right now in Iran, the internal chaos between regime officials right now. Guys, there's a power vacuum because Israel managed to take out all. This is not an exaggeration. Not most, all of the main military leaders, all the number one and the second ranking, like the layer 1 and layer 2 of all the military officials in Iran. That means that there is a huge power vacuum and everybody is basically trying to backstab other people to fill the power vacuum. You know the amount of chaos that causes in a regime? So the internal struggles and all of these at the same time. It's not just one. It's not just the power outages and the water outages. It's just not that the United States is basically becoming more aggressive. Europe is becoming more aggressive. The proxies are getting disarmed. Both sides are basically indicating that there's more military preparation for a war, that there's no room for diplomacy. They just tested the missile. The Islamic Republic is suggesting that they're not going to back down on enrichment missiles or supporting the proxies. All of these happening at the same time. And again, this suggests to everybody, again, I don't know what's going to happen, but this suggests that this is not a matter of if anymore. It's just a matter of how. Like everybody is just basically wondering, like, no, sorry, of when, of how and when, actually. Like how Israel will attack. Would it be more intense, less intense? It's just a matter of how and when, but not if, according to the analysts. We got more super chats. Guys, before I read the super chats, I need to, by Jack, I need to remind you to subscribe to this channel because, admitted, when it comes to Iran, this is the channel. Like when it comes to the Islamic Republic, you don't get information like this anywhere else, do you guys? I mean, I know Rebecca obviously is here, and obviously she has more information on Israel than I do. But when it comes, we are number one. We're number one when it comes to the Islamic Republic and its proxies, okay? And the level of detail and nuance that we have on this channel is unmatched anywhere else. So subscribe. What the hell are you doing if you're not subscribed? And hit the bell notification because we'll bring you the stuff. And we're really good at giving you the best arguments in defense of Israel internationally. So you leave this channel armed with the knowledge of the enemies of peace and stability in the world, and also the best ways to defend the heroes of peace and stability in the world, not just in the Middle East. Okay, so subscribe and support this channel, hit the bell notification, and like the stream. And let me see what Jack is saying. But Jack, thank you so much, Jack, for the super chat. It's saying one state solution is bad. Most of them won't be loyal to Israel. Small Palestine with no army, no border with Egypt or Jordan is safer. Trump plan 2020. No, okay. So when I support a one state solution, but not with these people. I'm talking about their grandchildren's grandchildren, and I'm also talking about opening the borders and letting most of them leave. Okay, I'm not talking about getting terrorists in Gaza Israeli citizenship. Okay, I'm talking about, okay, so the two-state solution is a horrible idea, in my opinion, because you just created, and we're trying to get rid of the Islamic Republic, and you're trying to create another Islamic Republic at your borders. Why would you do that? Why? Like you're trying to create, like you're saying, like, oh, with no army, with no weapons, they become an independent nation state. Obviously, based on international laws, they're going to have the rights to at some point arm themselves. And guess who's ready to arm them? So many Muslims around the world. Like that would be a arming magnet. That would becomes a magnet of weaponry. Like, oh, with no armament. Like, how are you gonna monitor that? Like, okay, so let's say that with no army and no weapons. Okay, who's gonna enforce that? Israel. So, well, that's what you're already doing. But now you put a step in between because now you have the legal. You just made them a country. So now you have. If you want Palestine to be an independent nation state with no guns and with no army, the only entity that is going to be enforcing that, is willing to enforce that, is going to be Israel. And Israel is already doing that with Gaza and West Bank. So what has changed? It's going to be the same thing, but now with less international laws, with more international laws against you, because they're an independent nation state and they have the right to arm themselves. Now, why would you do that? Do you understand? If Palestine becomes an independent nation state, now legally under international laws, they're going to be able to collect enough weapons, enough missiles to bomb Tel Aviv with, and the distance is so small that no defense mechanism is going to be able to stop it. So no Palestine. They had the chance. Like, how many times are you going to try them? You give them one chance of Palestine, they say no. I mean, they don't want. Here's a reason why the two-state solution doesn't work. Okay, let me give you another reason why the two-state solution doesn't work. They don't want a state. They don't want a state. They just want you to die. They want the annihilation of Israel. They're not interested in Palestine. They're just interested in wiping out Israel. They have made that clear. I mean, they are interested in Palestine, but by Palestine, they mean the entire fucking area. That means when they say we want Palestine, that means that they want a Palestine on top of your graves. That's what they mean when they say we want Palestine. They don't want the West Bank and Gaza as Palestine. So how are you going to give them something that they don't even fucking want? So, yes, when I say I'm for the one-state solution, Gaza should be Israel, West Bank should be Israel, Golan Heights should be Israel. The reason a lot of you might like, hey, no, one-state solution, you're telling me you're going to give people in Gaza Israeli citizenship? Hell no. First of all, you'd let them out. Okay? People are like, but that's ethnic cleansing. No, you cannot blame Israel for having an open air prison, and then when we open, we're like, okay, we'll just leave them. I'm like, no, you're ethnically cleansing them. So if we keep them there, it's an open air prison, and then if we like, how about you can leave? It's now ethnic cleansing. So damned if you do them. Look, I'm not. First, start with just allowing them to leave. Start with that. Okay, and then see what happens. Okay, and then move in. This is a long-term plan. I'm not saying like, hey, take the area and make these people citizens, okay? But slowly come up with plans to encourage more of them to just go somewhere else. And then the ones that are remain slowly create programs, not to these people, not to their children, not to their grandchildren, but take control over the media and education system there, so that maybe the Gazans and the West Bank people who haven't yet been born, I'm not talking about the already existing one, I'm talking about this is a multi-generational plan, okay? Maybe look, you control the education and the media there to the point where they cannot brainwash the Gazans and the West Bank people that haven't yet been born. And then you make of them people who are worthy of Israeli citizenship. Okay? That's the plan that I'm suggesting. Again, I know a lot of them who are already born are too far gone. Okay? I mean, honestly, if I was born in that area, I would probably be too far gone by now. Okay? But I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the people who have not yet been born yet to get an opportunity of being brainwashed. But again, why would you try the two-state solution when you already gave them this option 5 times? 5 fucking times. And they said no. They said no. You're going to force them to a two-state solution? They said no. As long as Israel gets to be a country, like, are you going to go for a 6th time? Yes. So no. So Noonan is saying a lot of them want to leave. What do you do with the ones who don't leave? You basically create so first of all, you need to invest in the infrastructure so Israel controls it. And then you need to control the education system, kindergarten, child's program. You need to basically go into separating anybody from their children if there's any signs of child brainwashing, indoctrination, right? So they're not fit for parenting if there's any signal that they're brainwashing their children, right? In the same way that in any liberal country, if an unfit parent is basically neglecting the education of their children, child services will come in and evaluate the situation and maybe even separate the children from the parents. I think something like that needs to happen. Oh, wow. We got 2 more super chats. Let me respond to these before I go. Oh, by the way, guys, on Armin Navabi channel, I have a show coming up in about 37 minutes, about 40 minutes, called Fix Your Mental Health with AI. Okay, so my personal channel is about AI and how I personally use AI to improve my life when it comes to wealth, health, relationships, and everything else. So just in about 40 minutes, I'm going to go, like, you could search for my name, Armin Navabi. There's a channel called Armin Navabi, my own personal channel. So if you're interested in that, you should be interested in it. It's really good content. I'm going to go live there. So check that out, okay? Armin Navabi, search that on YouTube. Subscribe to that channel. It's not about politics and religion there. It's more about not just AI, how to use technology and science to improve our lives, okay? And again, then this show that is starting in 40 minutes is called Fix Your Mental Health with AI, okay? So if you're interested, make sure you come over there. Let me see 2 super chats. Let me respond to this and then we'll go. Skyscraper philosopher saying Iranian women are most beautiful and Farsi is the French of the Middle East. Shame they do no surgery to conform to Western beauty standards. I don't think it's Western beauty standards. I think it's just a global beauty standards. Honestly, I prefer it. Okay, so I personally prefer it without a nose job. Like, I don't like the nose job look. Okay, so I agree with you with that. However, I don't like to blame things on the Western beauty standards. I mean, okay, here's the thing. That's not Western beauty standards because Westerners don't do nose jobs, okay? And that as much as Iranian women do, okay? And many Westerners that I've seen consider an Iranian woman without a nose job to be as beautiful, if not more beautiful. So I don't like blaming things on the West. In fact, the beauty standards of the West are pretty good. Okay, like I don't want to be anti-Western. Okay, the beauty standards in the West and in the East and in the North and in the South, they're decent beauty standards. Okay, so yeah, I mean, Westerners must know something about beauty because their culture produces so many beautiful things. So I wouldn't be blaming their West's beautiful standard, given given how much beauty they have injected into it. I'm grateful to the West for all of the beauty that it has. I mean, I'm grateful to the whole world. I'm grateful to the East for the beauty that they provided to the world, and to the West, and to the North, and to the South. So I don't want to be like, Western beauty standards. I mean, look at all the art and beauty and movies and the music that comes out of the West. And Western women are beautiful as well, right? So I don't want to, like, when I say Western beauty standards, I feel like, anyway. So thank you for the super chats, guys. This is, hey, Skyscraper. I do appreciate the super chat. I hope like you do. I'm just picky with things. Okay, this is why I don't get super chats. Shit. Sorry. No, I'm not sorry. I'm just telling you my thoughts. Look at this idiot in the chat. Hold on. Like, you love Westerners, bro. You're an absolute coconut. I love the world. Okay? And the West is part of the world. I love people. I love humans. And West is part of that. Okay? You just don't get that. Yeah, okay. So yeah, like, oh, you love Westerners. Oh, like, oh, you're telling me that I love? Well, thank you. I'm a loving person. Sean is saying, Armin, Iranian agriculture is about to collapse and cause an international crisis. Rebecca said that. I didn't know about the international crisis. I thought this is going to be an Iranian crisis. Really? How is this going to cause an international crisis? Interesting. I haven't looked into that. But yes, the Iranian agriculture is about to collapse. And guys, let me actually do my Pahlavi supporting mandatory Pahlavi supporting rant at the end, because this is very good. Okay, so what's Marchube in English? Let me translate this into English first. Marchube. Asparagus. Okay, so and see, گندم و مارچوبه. Okay, so let me actually, this is very interesting. So Rebecca, I hope you're here, so that you hear this. Okay, so let me actually tell you, during Muhammad Reza Shah, when he was king in Iran, during the Pahlavi dynasty, Iran was growing a lot of marchube, which is asparagus. And a lot of anti-Pahlavi Iranians back then were criticizing the government for why are we growing that? Why are we growing marchube? That's not part of Iranian people's diet, right? We should be growing wheat. Why are we importing wheat? Why are we importing watermelon? We should be growing that here ourselves, because that's what Iranian people eat, instead of marchube, which is again, what is it again? Asparagus, right? And after the fall of the Pahlavi dynasty, the mullahs commanded that, like, basically told farmers that they need to grow wheat and watermelon. And now that's what a lot of the Iranian farming is focused on, wheat and watermelon. And the problem is that a lot of these are they use a lot of water. And Iran's climate is not fit for growing wheat and watermelon. And guys, most of Iran's water usage is from farming. And Iran is growing the worst things right now for farming. And asparagus was perfect because it didn't use a lot of water, but it sold for so much higher than wheat and watermelon. So they had it right during the Pahlavi, even though that was not part of the Iranian diet. They grew something that was like a lot more expensive, and they sold it. They exported, and with that money, they managed to buy so much more wheat and watermelon that they could have made if they grew it in Iran themselves. That was the right strategy. But now a lot of the water shortages in Iran, like most of the water consumption in Iran comes from the agriculture. It's not because of water, like because the regime is now blaming the people, like, guys, shower shorter, use less water. But if you look at the percentages, the amount of water that people use in their home is so low compared to farming. And the farming usage of water is so high because the fucking mullahs shifted the farming of the country into things that use shit ton of water and doesn't sell for as much as they're like, we shouldn't be relying on Westerners. We should be growing things ourselves. The things that we use, we should be growing that. Like, why are we buying the things that Iranian people buy from other countries? We should be self-reliant. They were the isolationists. They're the isolationists. Like, we should be self-reliant. Fucking idiots. That was so much more expensive. Yeah, okay, you don't eat asparagus. Just you sell it for so much higher for fucking idiots. And it doesn't use so much water. Anyway, so the Pahlavi had it right. Yes. I mean, we wouldn't be here. During the Pahlavi, Muhammad Reza Shah was talking about solar energy at the time that Europe and North America wasn't talking about solar energy. Muhammad Reza Shah like, hey guys, I know we have a lot of oil, but this is not going to last forever. We need to think about solar power. Like if oil and gas-rich country was thinking about, and people made fun of him. Like people, mullahs, Khomeini himself, like he was like, oh my God, this idiot thinks that you could get energy from the sun. Yeah, he was forward thinking. He was ahead of his time. He was like, what we lost. Look what we lost. My God. Wow. We lost a big deal. Guys, make sure you like the stream. Make sure you subscribe. Oh, look at this. Rebecca is saying, we have an emergency recovery team for Iran in case the regime changes to implement all the reforms in Iran ASAP. Anyways, I helped them out a little bit, so I know. Wow, interesting. Also, Rebecca, look into Nufti. Nufti is Reza Pahlavi's team. They also have a lot of plans regarding what to do. And also, Reza Pahlavi said that they're going to be relying on their allies to basically do an emergency recovery situation once the regime collapses. And part of that is cooperation with Israel regarding water, because Israel has the best technology when it comes to water, right? Anyways, guys, I have to go. Guys, I should have guys, this show is supposed to be 1 hour, but it lasted 1 hour and 30 minutes because I just love hanging out with you guys. Okay, this is just too much fun for me. I keep wanting to hit the end stream button and like, this is too much fun. I mean, don't go. But I have to go. I need to get ready for my next show on my own personal channel. Search for my name and look that up. And I'm going to be talking to you guys there. Okay. Amir, I love you too. Thank you for being here. What the hell? Don't. Yeah. Okay. Tori saying I'm don't do 1 hour is too little. If I do 1 hour, then I could go every day because I have other things to do. All right, guys. Like the stream, subscribe. Shauna, thank you for the last super chat. And thank you, Rebecca, for we had a royal visit here. So thank you for honoring us for being here. Amir saying, long live the Atheist Republic. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. All right, guys, I'm gonna go. Bye. Mwah. Oh, I'm Israel Chai, Javid Shah. Mwah.